Rethabil's brother Cyril is killed right in front of her. It's one of the few directly observed deaths in the story. What happened to Cyril? The surface level story is that Cyril was asked to be a new IPMA director, but refused. The Order of the Public Bath wanted those directors to help guide them, so when those got blown up, they turned to Cyril. Rethabil eventually reached him, and he was preparing some kind of statement. However, shortly after she got to his room, his head exploded from the inside. Then a missile was launched at the room. Rethabil shielded herself, but the written evidence was destroyed in the explosion. This was all done by the Ninth Prime to hide the truth. That's all pretty much stated directly in the story, so does there need to be anything more to it? Is there anything missing from it? I could accept it, though I'd prefer not to. Some things about it are strange. The biggest is the head explosion. There's something already inside Cyril's head when Rethabil enters the room. If Cyril is being assassinated, then his thing was already put in his head earlier. He could have been killed any time between then and this moment. Why now? Interestingly, it's a method of killing that a Gauntlet Knight can't save him from. And then why also shoot a missile at his corpse? The straightforward answer is that it's to destroy whatever written accusation he's prepared. Maybe that also explains the timing. When Rethabil is in the room, that's the room with the evidence in it, so that's the room to blow up. I could swallow that, but I'm not crazy about it. First of all, the idea that Cyril has some evidence which must be destroyed, but that can be done by blowing up a single room, is pretty silly. It could be in various formats, with copies in various places, physically and digitally. But maybe Ryukishi didn't think of it that way, I don't know. Maybe I just have to accept it. At the same time, even if it's just one piece of paper, Rethabil might accidentally shield it while saving herself, much like Tojiro was saved in the peace conference explosion. Speaking of Tojiro, there's a much earlier scene where he and some cheery man sit at a bar next to each other and email secret documents back and forth. So there's not a great reason to believe Cyril hasn't already digitally shared his secret information with Rethabil when she entered his room, if not earlier. If I have all these doubts about the surface level narrative of Cyril's death, what's the alternative? The story is told from Rethabil's point of view. Maybe she lied a little. Despite Rethabil's assumptions, Cyril may have a shrewd mind for scheming. It's possible Rethabil gave him some indication of the Order of the Public Bath, especially after the explosion incident. So what if he proposed that he and she take control of the Order of the Public Bath? With the other directors gone, the only possible eyes left are Cyril. The two of them can control the bathers and turn his sword of peace against all of Africa's enemies. This is similar to what the IPMA tried to do, although I don't know if Cyril knew that at the time. This would be a shocking proposal for Rethabil, both disgusting and intriguing. She would feel conflicted in her feelings both about this idea and about Cyril himself. In that moment of hesitation, a missile approaches their room. Rethabil could possibly shield Cyril, but at this point she's not certain whether he's even worth saving or if he's a terrible villain. She ends up only shielding herself. She has little confidence in her snap decision, but that's what ended up happening. There was no head explosion. That was just something she made up later to justify not shielding her brother. Again, note how there is no way a Gauntlet Knight could protect him from an explosion inside his own head. This way, that strange part of the story is explained as a lie, and the Ninth Prime really did need to follow Rethabil to find Cyril in the first place. That better explains the timing of the missile attack. You could also add another twist here and say it was Rethabil herself that killed Cyril, resolute that he is in fact an evildoer, based on his proposal. In that case, the scene where Ninth Prime agents discuss killing him has to implicitly be part of Rethabil's lie too. I don't favor this, as it's more complicated and a bit needlessly cynical, but I do think it's a possibility to mention. Also, in principle, what could Cyril have known? What information would be so ruinous to the Ninth Prime? Similarly, did the directors at the peace conference really know anything, or was their political influence the important thing? Maybe, but I want to briefly note another possible target: news reporters. Various reporters were present at the explosion, and many of them got killed. Maybe some of these were also important targets. After all, as we know, many of the true machinations of the Order of the Wisteria involve media manipulation. Various political VIPs don't necessarily have any access to the full story here. In fact, to some extent, political actors are only responding to the demands of their populace, which in turn are being manipulated by news media. So, maybe there are some news reporters who know information about these manipulations, and are closer to the heart of the matter. Maybe killing them was also an important part of the peace conference explosion incident. By assuming that characters might lie a little bit, we can make some stories that don't have direct evidence, but which I think might be more compelling than the stories were directly shown. Have a little doubt. Just what is Lilia's deal? The Leto sisters really don't remember what happened to them? Tojiro never heard of any secret labs? Who might be lying, and what could it mean? I'll keep presenting more possibilities in future videos.